Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Eugenio Gervasini. I work at the JRC, Joint Research Center of the European Commission, which is located in Italy, in Ispra, precisely. And I'm glad to be here, and I thank the organizer for inviting me, and also for the nice cruise on the Danube yesterday evening. I hope you all enjoyed it. I share most of the issues which were discussed yesterday in terms of information on alien species. So what comes about terminology, scientific terminology, legal terminology, the cooperation in order to share information, sharing data and knowledge, best practices, and also what concerns communication to the public, and what is commonly known as citizen science. And so we all need to foster a coherence among the policies on alien species, and we heard yesterday that there are some discrepancies in the way the policies are implemented. And information is crucial, and I have to say that updated information is crucial. Just this morning, I realized that we have changed the definition. Now we are no longer an institute, but we are a directorate for sustainable resources. So my presentation is already out of date in 2 days, because this was updated on Friday. And then I also I also share what was said about communication to the journalist. But we do not need to strive too much journalist imagination, because yesterday while we were here, there was a breaking news on Italian newspaper. So Sweden declares war to the American lobster, Homarus americanus, because it's an alien species, urging the European Commission to take action. But my colleague Miriam is quite used to this kind of breaking news, is a daily thing. And I would be very glad that the kind of wars declared in the world would be like this one, and not the global conflicts causing sufferance to millions of people across the globe. This said, I should start my presentation. So I will give you an overview of what EASIN is about, the tools that been developed to serve scientific and managers in tackling alien species, and also what's ongoing and future developments which are planned. So all in all, EASIN has been conceived to support the European policies on biological invasion and biodiversity. And to this end, many legislation are currently underlined with this system. One is the communication on biodiversity strategy up to 2020, marine strategy framework directive. There is a specific descriptor on non-indigenous species, and last but not least, the regulation on invasive alien species, which were presented by my colleague Miriam yesterday. So to this end, EASIN is currently being developed as a information supporting system for the implementation of the regulation on invasive alien species under the remit of Article 25 of the regulation. Okay, how it works? Fine. So what is the rationale behind the EASIN initiative? We know that tackling alien species demands international cooperation and harmonization of the information, which is widespread, and sometimes there are overlaps or gaps in the information, and to promote management coherence. So as I said before, we need to share the knowledge to let people take the right decision at the right moment. And EASIN wants to act as a data discovery portal, facilitating the exploration of the information which is actually scattered across many databases, information system, websites at national, European, and global level, developing tools or web services in order to help in aggregating and use the data properly. The EASIN, as such, was launched in 2012 and has been developed by JRC with the help and financial support from DG Environment as a system to interconnect databases. We now have more than 14,000 alien species covering all the environments, terrestrial, marine, fresh waters, and reporting impact, and also we have a geodatabase containing the spatial data. EASIN doesn't want to substitute, this is important to stress, doesn't want to substitute national, local inventories or repositories or other websites, but basically promotes cooperation and is a network of database and information systems. So acting as a single entry point for what concerns Europe. We have gathered by the first analysis of 43 databases information on all or almost all the alien species occurring in Europe, compiling a catalog of pan-European alien species in which you can retrieve many information about the taxonomic status of the species, pathway, native range, valley names, are then published, but as well as synonyms and the original names which were found on the web. And data provider data provider or data partners are then searched to find update on the species we have in our catalog regularly. What's going on now is that following the adoption of a CBD document on the recategorization of pathways, all the pathways of the alien species in EASIN are being evaluated to be aligned with what CBD has stated. This is towards the achievement of the CBD IC target number 9. So pathways are identified and prioritized, which aim is mirrored in target 5 of the European biodiversity policy. So while EASIN is taking data from data provider, is giving back them by means of web tools and services, providing also corrected or updated information. One of the main problems is to keep a high standard of the quality of the data. For this reason, we have an editorial board which is running since 2014. I'm actually the coordinator of the editorial board. It's composed of 28 members and carries out a systematic update of the EASIN catalog because the 28 members are taxonomic specialists in different fields. And so, by means of their activity, can update the information we have following a participatory approach and availing of an online platform for discussion, which is included in EASIN. So there is a reserved, restricted access to some part of EASIN, but all users can contribute, raising discussion, issuing what we call ticket, so a specific question on the species we have in our catalog. So we have working procedure for that. Data quality is also guaranteed by the activity we do reviewing the scientific literature with EASIN Lit. We have a current set of data partners, which has been enlarged, and we get in connection also with national databases organization like the Croatia Agency for Environment and Nature. This is just a snapshot to show you what you can retrieve. So concerning Racleoma tegazianum, so taxonomic traits, direct link to fact sheets like CABI, mapping for a country level, at grid level 10 by 10, even though in the future we want to scale it down to 1 by 1 kilometers, and the presence of the species at river basin level. You can select to deselect providers, so you can tailor, customize your own maps and retrieve the source of information. In this case, EASIN Lit. You can go down to the specific piece of information literature. Then you can also get the native range of the species, and you can launch complex inquiries, selecting different aspects like plant and the corridor or the pathway, the impact, and so you can launch the query and retrieve the information, which can be then also saved and shared using social networks. And you can download maps. EASIN is used also to support scientific research. Publication on trends and gateways have been published and can be used. And what we are currently doing is the updating of the information, which is quite a burdensome activity and is continuous. So we have a new version of the catalog, a new version of the geodatabase. We have to say that half of the catalog is composed of terrestrial plants, so 7,000 out of 14,000. There has been a revision of terrestrial mollusca, and specifically concerning the species which are targeted by the EU legislation, there have been through revision of the special occurrences on 80 priority species. Geodatabase. What we are doing is the notification system, which was mentioned yesterday by Miriam, interconnecting all member states, and currently is under test and will be also upgraded. A new website to be published soon. So this is what you should. Oops, sorry. This is what you should see in the next few days. This is Jamek. Jamek is the one who is the author of the refurbishing of the website. The revision of pathways, guidelines, best practices is what we would like to include as well in the system. Citizen science by to aim at raising awareness and involvement in detection of invasive alien species. A prototype smart app has been developed for this purpose. Data mining and horizon scanning, and taking availing of the GRC experience. Many colleagues working on modeling. This can be also future development of EASIN. So this is the big team all together. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Mr. Gervasini. If you have any questions, please.
Sorry, I didn't understand very well. Here you have not the project, but continuous financial sources for going on with EASIN. So this will be something permanent.
This is meant to be permanent because the system should support the implementation of the regulation. So unless the regulation will be dropped tomorrow, okay, still the scientific interest of keeping this kind of information system remain are still valid. So is a twofold purpose system. So one is to aid the scientific community, and the second one is to aid managers and decision makers in tackling alien species.
Because, for example, to commend DAISY, which was a big project, but unfortunately project which finished one day, and unfortunately afterwards it remained on as a database accessible, but not finished, never finished, and hopefully this will go on.
And in my premise, I said that the updating is the crucial thing, because in a while information becomes obsolete. Also because taxonomists like to change names, to review genera, and doing things like that, spoiling the work of people trying to organize the information. Yeah.
Yes?
Do you work in indicators to know the evolution of the invasive alien species?
This has been done for what concerns, I said at the beginning, for Marine Framework Strategy Directive, but is also something that can be done for, let's say, alien species affecting other environments. Yes, this is what can be done. But I would like to stress that you need time, resources, and last but not least, financial resources for doing it, or solid cooperation and collaboration amongst scientists, which is one of the activities we are doing actually. Yeah.
Okay.
So this is the goes in determining horizon scanning, but also indicators for present spread and so on. Yeah.
Okay, I also might have a question too. I suppose that you have a regular contact with decision makers. How can you see that? Is there an increase of recognition of this general problem across Europe on a high level, high policy level? And are there any differences in between countries where they are tending more to accept the problem and do something against it, or not?
No, I'm not in a position to say an exact word on that, but what I can perceive comes from the analysis of different things going around Europe, and I have to say that the awareness is increasing. There are many applications to inform citizens. Citizens are organizing in order to take action, and more and more aware of what's going on. So, and this is reflected in what we read in the newspaper or technical magazines. So this is, but as we all know, the problem is the prioritization, and what's going on in Europe now has to be prioritized. So possibly it's not at the forefront of the administration. This is
okay. Thank you very much. Okay, any other questions? Okay, thank you again. And